How can an ex sneak up on you in the middle of your Chapter 13 case and ruin everything? My name is Jeff Kelly. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. I've been practicing for about 22 years now, and I would like to go over some scenarios. Actually, these are real life examples of where an ex can sneak up on you and ruin everything in a Chapter 13 case. Well, the number one way is a cosigned car. So a lot of these dealers, these buy here, pay here's, they don't even report on your credit. So like when we're pulling credit reports, we can't tell who's cosigned or not. And oftentimes we get in emergency situations, we'll get a case filed. And one of the most beautiful things about a Chapter 13 that I love is that we can knock down the interest rates. And when you're dealing with a buy here, pay here, it is very common to see an interest rate of 30%. Well, we get to knock it down to about 6% in most Chapter 13 cases. However, everything gets messed up if there's a cosigner. Oh, the ex. I know the feeling. It puts a knot in your stomach, and I hate having to give people the bad news. And the last thing in the world you want to think about or have to deal with is a screaming, angry ex. Well, here's how it plays out. If you've got an ex who's co-signed with you on a buy here, pay here loan, we can't lower the interest rate and protect the co-signer. The only way to fully protect the co-signer in this type of situation is to pay back the full contract interest. So you could go from having a $300 a month payment to a $600 a month payment in a Chapter 13 if the interest rate is ridiculously high, and of course depending on the amount and so forth. The other way to get around it would be to just surrender the car back to the creditor. But when you do that, the ex is going to be left holding the bag. So that is the number one way that a ex can sneak up on you. Another way, a very close second here that I've seen happen, is joint tax returns. And a lot of people don't realize this, that when you sign a joint tax return, you are jointly liable for any tax debt related to that tax return. For whatever reason, this almost always comes up with a self-employed case. And it's never a CPA that screws up the tax return. It is almost always a tax preparer. And I've seen cases where we file Chapter 13, everything is looking good. The IRS does not report on credit reports quite often, most of the time. And we're chugging along, we've got a great payment, and then bam, here comes the IRS. $100,000 in tax debt. Not from any income that my client earned, from some ex, from some self-employed business. Total disaster. The IRS can put their thumb down, and it doesn't matter when you say, well, it wasn't my business. I didn't own the business. I just signed the joint tax return. We're jointly liable. Those are very tough situations to get out of. So, how can you avoid the Chapter 13 nightmare of having to deal with an ex or having an ex sneak up on you? Well, here's how you do it. Number one, don't ever sign a joint tax return unless it's being reviewed by like a professional CPA. Even then, depending on who your spouse is, if you think they're a shaky kind of person, don't do it. Don't sign a joint tax return. File separately. The other thing is cosigned cars. Never, never, never cosign for anyone to get a car. Don't do it. Don't do it. Run away. If you're in a situation and you're sitting in a car dealer place and they're like, hey, if you can just get your girlfriend or get your boyfriend to cosign with you, then hey, we got a deal. Get up, leave, run away as fast as you can. Don't cosign, or you could be setting yourself up for a real nightmare. If you get a chance, check out my podcast at kellybankruptcy.com. I've got a lot of blog posts at kellycanhelp.com, and I've written a free book on Chapter 13 and Chapter 7, and I would like for you to get a free copy. So please go to my homepage, scroll down to the very bottom, type in your email address, and boom, we will email you a copy. Thank you for tuning in today. Have a good one.